Greetings and salutations world. So the flying has not been happening this week. Unfortunately, the weather, it's Scotland, has been particularly rubbish as a result of the wind now coming from the south instead of the north, and coming from the south at around about 11 or 12 knots. There was just not going to be any flying. So instead of not posting anything to YouTube, I thought, well, what is it that I could put up that would be of interest to everybody? So I'm going to share with you the first ever flight that I ever did in a Microlight. When it comes to flying for the very first time in a very small plane, when there's not massive, great big engines, everyone has their own feelings and thoughts about what a Microlight is, but until you sit in that plane for the very first time and feel the acceleration when it starts hurtling itself down the runway, you just don't understand it. The second I took off the ground for that very first time, I started giggling. I was actually laughing. You can't hear it in the video, unfortunately, but I was laughing. And it was because I was so excited and realized that I found something that I was probably going to do for the rest of my life, that I was just hooked. Absolutely and totally addicted. So I'm going to share it with you today, and hopefully you'll find it interesting. I will catch you on the other side. Cool, so this is me sitting in Golf Charlie India Alpha, which is actually my instructor's plane. So Graham Ritchie, shout out to you. He was the first guy to take me up in the Microlight. So I've sped up some of the footage on this because there's a lot of sort of discussion that goes on before and sort of after the takeoff, really. So this is us heading down towards the runway. This particular flight we've been departing on runway 29. So just getting into the wind there to do the checks. So a little bit of speeding up here. There's a few checks and a lot of explanation, as you can see, going on about what the different elements of the plane are actually doing. Okay, so that's pretty much all the checks done, and now just taxiing down to the start point for 29. And on this particular flight we'll be taking off and departing to the north and then off to the east. Okay, so this is us lining up. Whoa, hang on a minute. So at this point, I'm sitting in the back of the plane thinking to myself, what on earth am I doing? And then this happened. So at this point, I'm pretty much laughing my head off. I'm actually giggling like mad, like a little schoolboy really. So excited I was just to be off the ground and flying with that complete view all the way around me. I could see down to the ground. You can kind of see every once in a while. I'm looking downwards, like that's me doing it right there. And it's just, it was so exhilarating to see the ground and the sky in this way. I mean, when you're in an airplane, like an A380 or a 747, whatever, the windows are so small, but to have that perspective all the way around you is just incredible to see. So we're going to speed up the flight at this point a wee bit, and just to take you around the area that we're flying above at the moment. So this is heading off towards Bass Rock and Tintallon. At this point we kind of do a little bit of flying around and all over East Lothian really, so nothing too major, but what Graham was really doing at this point is kind of showing me what the plane is actually capable of doing. One of the questions that he kind of put to me when we were taking off was, what was it you wanted to get out of the flight? And if I'm honest, one of the main things that I've always wanted to do when it comes to flying is to fly around the clouds and to cloud hop. So I just happened to get the perfect day for this. So as you can see, we're kind of heading towards the clouds here, and my heart is in my chest beating like mad at this point, because I'm actually fulfilling like a major lifetime wish, dream of mine, to actually fly around the clouds. Now obviously we can't fly through them because we fly with different sorts of flight rules on these things, but we could certainly fly around them and just see their awe and the scale of them, and it was just exhilarating to see. So I think if anyone ever does want to do trial flights or see it, you really want a day where the air is still and you're getting some really decent clouds that you can get into or go around, fly around like these ones. It's an absolutely stunning day. It's one of the really huge advantages of being able to fly during the winter months. You get these sort of massive cloud formations that you can fly around that are relatively still. You can see the sort of clouds there that are just this thin sliver of cloud, and just flying on top of them is like skating on ice. It's really incredible to see. I've not seen it since this flight actually, if I'm honest. So in all of my training lessons I've never had any cloud formations like this. So we're now in the winter months, and now that I'm solo, I'm quite looking forward to seeing these sorts of formations when I'm able to get up there on my own. So this is now, as coming up towards Dunbar, you can see the cement works there in the front, so it was one of the other things that I really wanted to do, was to fly around and above Dunbar, go over the house. So from my previous video you'll recognise this, so that's the harbour just off to the middle of the screen there, and this is us really flying over the heart of Dunbar and kind of getting a really fantastic view from there. So there was no particular mission for the day when I got there actually. It was really just a case of, I just want to get up, I just want to see what it's like to fly in this machine, to see what it's all about. So when I was in the plane I was kind of asked, what are the things you want to do? And so now at this stage in the flight I've done the two things that I really wanted to do. One being, I want to see what it's like around the clouds while flying this machine, and I also want to fly over the top of my house. So I managed to do that. Subsequently, it's been pointed out to me that actually flying over your house is one of the main things that people tend to ask for here, so in a trial flight. So I managed to accomplish that at least, so I was quite happy with that. You can see Graham there constantly just checking the hand throttle to the left hand side of the plane, just to make sure that I've not kicked anything. It's a bit of a standard thing that we do, just to make sure that everything's okay, because us strange passengers have a tendency to have a look and see what certain things are, or just mistakenly bump them. So we're now kind of heading our way off to Barrack, along the side of Tantallon Castle, which is just to the left hand side here. Now instead of approaching Barrack from kind of below the cloud base, Graham actually went up a wee bit at this point to kind of skirt around the side of this cloud that we're coming up to, and to kind of give the illusion of the Barrack just appearing out of nowhere. Now it looks as if Barrack is quite far away, but it is really, really impressive and huge from that height, so it was pretty exciting to see at that point. You guys are going to be seeing a lot of Barrack in my videos. It's probably one of the major tourist attractions in East Lothian to come and see. Really important, particular part of the countryside, and bird life as well, obviously. If you're into photography, really, really fantastic place to go to if you really like to get some bird life photography. We as pilots though tend not to fly too close to it for obvious reasons. You got a prop at the back of that plane there, and yeah, props versus birds, not too good. Ooh, some really steep turns there. He's now really showing me what the plane can do. I think at this point Graham had actually asked me, or I'd kind of asked him actually, what else would you like to see? And I'd asked him what sort of performance do you get out of these things? And this coming up in a second was sort of my experience of Alton Towers, but in an airplane. Here. This is pretty cool. He pulls the bar in and just skirts around the top of the cloud and tweaks it around. And I mean, it doesn't look like we dropped down very far at this stage, but I tell you what, the deceleration on that, or the descending rather on that was pretty something. Really hot in the throat moment there. So this is us coming up to North Barrack. That's Barrack Law directly under the plane there. And again, you'll see that quite a lot in my videos. It was in the previous one as well. It's a pretty important part of the landscapes here. There's a few law mounds. I'm not too sure what the actual definition of them is, but a few laws in the area, like Barrack Law, Traprain Law as well. Just small mounds. So this is us now kind of coming in towards the airfield, and this is us already in the circuit coming into land. So going over the Museum of Flight, we're obviously on the left-hand circuit coming in to land on 29, going over the top of Concorde, just there, that white hangar there, white roof hangar. It was a bit of a wet day actually. But that didn't stop us from flying, so it was all good. Graham's plane's actually, it's a quick R, so it's a bit more of a bigger plane than my plane, but still pretty cool to fly. The difference with this one is the wing. It's a different style of wing, so there's no king post on the top of the wing. I'll show you around the plane at some point so you can actually see what I'm talking about. But here we are coming in on a little bit of a powered approach. And this landing's pretty impressive because it's pretty much slap onto the line 129. Now that we're on the ground, I guess the important part to point out here is that this is, like I said, the very first time I ever flew in a microlight, and guaranteed if you do the same thing yourself you will get addicted. It is such an exhilarating experience that I challenge anyone who watches my videos to give it a go yourself and see exactly what it's all about.